This course is designed to give supervisors and managers an overview of how to effectively delegate tasks to subordinates. The learning objectives for this course include having supervisors and managers understand the benefits of delegation, explain the basic methods involved in successful delegation, and explain how to overcome resistance to a delegated task. Delegation is the ability to entrust or transfer responsibility and/or authority to complete a task, function, goal, or project to someone else. Andrew Carnegie, one of the world's richest men, said, "The secret of success is not in doing your own work, but in recognizing the right person to do the work." Delegation and empowerment go hand in hand. Both come from a manager's ability to give their employees these three essential elements. 1. Autonomy, the desire to direct our own work. 2. Mastery, the urge to make progress and get better at something that matters. And 3. Purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. For you to be successful at delegation, we believe it is important to follow a consistent process. Therefore, we have developed a 7-step process for successful delegation, which includes the following steps. 1. Determine the right tasks to delegate. 2. Clearly define expected outcomes. 3. Pick the right person for the task. 4. Clearly define the time frame for completion. 5. Define their authority to act. 6. Monitor progress with check-ins. 7. Debrief what went well, what could have been improved, and what lessons were learned. Now let's go over the 7 steps in detail. Step 1 is determine tasks to delegate. Think about what you should delegate. Be guided first by this question. What task are you doing now that does not require your unique knowledge, skills, and authority? The answer will identify opportunities for possible delegation. In Step 1, quality is the first issue to consider in identifying tasks to delegate. By quality, we mean a job done right and on time. This issue must be foremost in your mind whenever you delegate. Ask yourself the following questions. Is the task so technical that extensive coaching will be necessary to bring the person to a high level of proficiency? Is there enough time to recruit the person and explain how to do the job? What's good enough for this task in terms of quality? What will be the consequences if the task is done poorly? There are some tasks that should never be delegated. These include hiring, performance reviews, firing, and disciplinary actions, and certain specific tasks that have been delegated to you by someone else. Step 2. Clearly define expected outcomes. Clearly define and describe each task. Be specific. Ask for the employee to feedback what he or she heard to ensure he or she fully understands what is expected. Be clear about defining the areas of a task that allow for creativity or flexibility, and be clear about areas that need to be done a specific way. In Step 2, you should begin with a big picture explanation of how the task fits with the larger goals of the organization and end with the employee's clear acceptance of the task and the responsibilities that go with it. Failure to clearly communicate the desired end result may be the biggest source of disappointment and frustration in delegation situations. Step 3. Pick the right person. When you are deciding who to delegate a task to, you should think of the acronym CARE. The C stands for capable. Your delegation candidate should be fully capable of handling the job. Proven ability is always more important than potential when you're depending on successful execution. The A stands for available time. The person you designate a task to must have available time. Too often, managers give tasks to people who are already overloaded with work. So if you can't offload some of the work, they run the risk of burning out. The next letter in the CARE acronym is R. The R stands for reliable. Reliability is important because a capable person who isn't reliable may leave you with egg on your face. Reliable subordinates that regularly get work delegated to them will eventually have their morale and goodwill evaporate if they see their coworkers getting the same pay but doing a lot less work. Try to delegate tasks to your team members as equally as possible. The last letter in the acronym is I. The I stands for interested. If a person is interested in personal growth and in learning more, they are more likely to be a good candidate for delegation. A person who finds a particular task interesting is more likely to take the task seriously and do a good job, all things being equal. Step 4. Clearly define the time frame for task completion. Setting clear deadlines helps prioritize workloads, eliminates project chaos, and allows for more strategic allocation of time. Setting clear milestones also allows managers to check in at appropriate time intervals to see if the project is on time and on budget. Having clearly defined deadlines reduces ambiguity and minimizes the risk of miscommunication. Clear deadlines create a sense of urgency that drives action and helps maintain momentum. Step 5. Define the level of authority associated with the task. The first level of authority is the authority to recommend. At this level, the manager expects the employee to research options and propose the best alternative. At this level, the manager is expected to make the final decision but wants input before making a decision. The second level of authority is to inform and initiate research and select the best course of action. The employee is expected to inform you why it's best to initiate this election. At this level, you expect the employee to make the decision, but you expect them to inform you before they take action so you can intercept potential problems. The third level is full authority to act. This allows a person full authority to act with respect to the task or project. You should use this level when you are confident of the person's capabilities and the risks are minimal. The more ambiguous the situation, the greater the amount of decision-making authority and flexibility you may have to give your subordinates. You cannot make someone responsible for a job without giving that person a commensurate level of authority and decision-making power. Step 6 is to build checkpoints into the task. Checkpoints give the manager an opportunity to periodically observe progress, identify developing problems, and maintain control over a delegated task for which she or he bears the ultimate responsibility. The earlier you can catch a problem, the more quickly you can apply coaching or other corrective actions. A checkpoint is a predetermined point at which progress will be observed and evaluated. Remember, you retain the ultimate responsibility for the task you delegate to others. If you don't bother to monitor a delegated task and that task goes bad, you will own part of that failure. Never allow subordinates to put the monkey back on your back whenever problems are encountered. Managers who allow this to happen will never be effective delegators. You may think it is faster and easier to take back the monkey and do the job yourself, but resist the urge to do so. Step 7 is to conduct a debriefing session once the task is complete. When an employee has completed a delegated task, always have a debriefing session. When you debrief, 3 things you need to discuss are what went well, what could have been improved, and what was learned as a result of the task. The person who did the work deserves to know how well he or she did on the task. If you want to become a master delegator and you want employees to become better performers, then you must take the time to evaluate and give feedback. Your evaluation must be based on facts gathered through direct observation. When a manager learns how to delegate work effectively, organizational stakeholders praise him or her for their ability to get the best out of their people. Higher-level managers take notice of a manager's ability to run a productive team, and they often will consider them for higher levels of management responsibility. As a manager, you should delegate as much as possible. Doing so will develop the capabilities of your team and will give you more time for important strategic work. Now, before we wrap up our training session on delegation, we want to review the 7 steps of effective delegation. Step 1. Determine the right task to delegate. Step 2. Clearly define the expected outcomes. Step 3. Pick the right person. Step 4. Clearly define the timeline. Step 5. Define the person's authority to act. Step 6. Conduct check-ins to monitor progress. And Step 7. Debrief to determine what went well, what could be improved, and what were the lessons learned. Now that you have learned the basic steps in effective delegation, it is time for you to practice what you have learned. As you go back to your work environment and begin using these delegation techniques, you should start to see the benefits of effective delegation, which includes giving you more time, allowing you to focus on what's most important, allowing your people to grow in capability and confidence, allowing you to develop, coach, and mentor your people, creating opportunities for you to provide recognition, and allowing for clear documentation of performance issues and ensuring successful results.